Hello, thank you for watching our presentation on adaptations for students with visual impairment. My name is Alyssa Jones and I received help on this from Caitlin McKinley. So thank you, Caitlin. I appreciate it. Now let's get started. Oh, here's my falling apple. There we go. So as educators, we have this amazing responsibility to ensure that every need presented by a student is met and taken care of. We need to help all students that might present any special challenges in the classroom. So to ensure that all students are given the opportunity to learn in an inclusive environment, it's crucial for us to develop adaptations to our lessons so that every student is learning alongside their peers. So today we're specifically looking at students with visual impairments, Such students, they might be blind or only blind to colors. They struggle to distinguish the world in such a way that it affects their academic performance. So one strategy that we can use to ensure that students are learning together is we can offer large print books. So some students, they struggle to read the same texts that are distributed among their peers, and to ensure that they're learning in the least restrictive environment, these students ought to be offered the same resources, only with larger print. So many textbook publishers today, they're making these large print editions for most textbooks that you find in the California public schooling system. However, there are also nonprofits that are working to make large print more available to those who need it. Also, with new technology that we're experiencing, we can make use of ebooks or PDF files or digital editions of textbooks that give students the option to enlarge very small print. So that's definitely helpful. Oops. So for those students who are suffering from a more severe visual impairment like blindness, what we can do is we can offer them text in Braille. So textbooks and novels, they ought to be presented to the student in Braille. Just like with any written language, they need to learn how to read, and what they do is they'll use this Braille code, which shows letters that are represented in patterns of raised dots, and what the student does is they feel those dots with their fingertips. That's how they read the text. So most publishers do offer text in Braille. However, again, not all things you'll be able to find so easily. And if by any chance some students cannot read Braille for themselves, it's our responsibility to ensure that they're learning to read Braille. So either we must teach them ourselves or find someone who will. Now, we learn more about that by reading the California Braille reading standards, which were first introduced in 2006. And going through those, I found three really interesting philosophies that they printed. The first one was that the teaching and the learning of the Braille code is as essential for a blind child as the teaching and learning of the print code for a sighted child, which is absolutely true. We need students to be, becoming literate in language and, able to read for themselves. It's how we open the world to them. So the teaching and the learning of Braille code has more similarities to teaching and learning print than differences. And I felt like they added this philosophy into their reading standards because many teachers are a bit apprehensive about approaching blind children and giving them the resources they need to succeed. It might seem too different, too strange. They might seem uncomfortable themselves, but really what we need to be doing is putting the students' needs first and ensuring that they become literate. And so lastly, they discuss there are unique aspects to teaching and learning the Braille code that necessitate these standards. So it's really, really important that we're teaching, our blind students, our visually impaired students how to read Braille so they can succeed in learning in their academic futures. Okay. So another thing we can do for our students, we can provide easy to read font. So when we're printing class materials, class handouts, class text, it's important that we give them a large, easy to read font for the student to read. And depending on the student, you need to be really sensitive to this. You need to consider providing maybe all handouts with the same font size. And I included this in there from experience. Last year I had the opportunity to teach a 10th grade English class for about 2 weeks. And one of the students, he had visual impairment, and he was really embarrassed by it in front of his peers. He didn't want to be given any special materials. He didn't want to be given large printed texts, only because he didn't want to seem different from everyone else, even though his IEP dictated that, he needed these resources, that in order for him to learn the best, he needed large print materials. So what his teacher and I, what we would do is that we would prepare handouts with the same font size for every student. So he was able to be included in the class activities, and he wasn't secluded, he wasn't given different materials. So teachers, please be really sensitive to this issue. It depends on the student. Okay. So another adaptation we can make, sorry about that. So another adaptation we can make is by introducing materials that are presented with heavy contrast, like heavy contrasting colors. And so what that means is that there's usually a dark background, usually black, with bright yellow words or letters printed on the page. This makes it easier for the visually impaired student to read. Highlighters can be utilized. Highlighters bring attention on certain words, and it helps the student follow along. It might also help them if they utilize a ruler. So, they can use a ruler when reading printed text so they can have something to always follow. Okay. And so what this does is it allows for direct attention with the materials, and it really helps the student just follow along. So there's also the use of technology we can utilize as teachers. It's become a big part of the classroom today and in society. We have use of smartboards, computers, and tablets, and audiobooks. Students, they can learn best by listening to recordings. They can, bring their own audio devices that could actually, help them record the notes that they can take later. A student, they can watch a video or listen to a story instead of reading a book. And there are also new technologies as far as Braille is concerned. You can write out Braille code using these computer programs and these typewriters. Also, as educators, we should definitely be making sense of more audio-heavy lessons. Not only are they beneficial to the student, but to the teacher as well. The teacher would be able to play pieces for the class as a whole, keeping all students together at the same pace. So I'm running out of time here. We're looking at 8 minutes. So thank you for watching. And if you get the opportunity, I encourage you to check out this video on assistive technology in action. And thank you for watching. Have a great day.